It's a beautiful day in Tampa Bay for thank God. It's Monday, January 28th, 2019. The only 128-2019 in the history of humanity. Let us continue to choose.
On purpose.
With a purpose.
To give a great day.
A great week.
A great week. Boom.
Sex in the pews. Sex in the pews. Sex in the pews.
Sex in the pews.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Greetings, you beautiful humans. This is Glenn Klein.
And Owen Pratt.
Welcome in to the Pews. Sex in the Pews. It's been an unbelievable first couple of weeks.
It has.
In the pews. And it all starts with that amazing jingle.
Yes,
we have a variety of jingles.
This one brought to you by
Reaction Productions. That happens to be my daughter Hannah Chiclana's video production company.
Incredibly talented actress and singer. Married
Yes.
to an equally talented and incredible singer.
Angel Chiclana. Angel Gabriel, he goes by. His name is Angel Gabriel Chiclana. Every man in his family going back generations is named Angel. So they actually call him Gabby. He's Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico, my heart's devotion. You know what that's from?
Nope.
West Side Story, baby. You never saw West Side Story?
No.
It's Romeo and Juliet set in 1950s New York.
I saw it acted out in my middle school or something, high school.
Well, then you did see it, just not the actual movie. It was first a Tony Award-winning play, and then that's when they usually have a lot of musicals. It was a great movie. Boy, crazy boy, be cool, boy. Got a rocket in your pocket. Be coolly cool, boy. Do you know how controversial and provocative that line was in that song in the 1960s?
What line?
Got a rocket in your pocket. Be cool, boy. Yeah.
Wow.
Back in the day when I was young and dumb and full of cum, as they like to say, the television and the radio was much different, and it was they couldn't say anything. George Carlin had the famous line, or the famous bit, 7 dirty words you can't say on television and radio. And then, of course, he would say all of them in his bit, and it was very funny. A lot of them have to do with sex. Can't say tits. Back in the day, you couldn't say ass. Can't say dick unless it's referring to, like, the guys in our dick picture of the week, which you want to go see.
Oh, we've got some excellent submissions this past week for our Dick Pick of the Week contest.
Yes, we'll be announcing a winner shortly. But thank you for you guys that are participating in the Dick Pick of the Week. And if you don't know what it is, let me just reassure you, it's not what you think it is, but it is our most clicked on page on sexinthepews.com, not surprisingly. And you could enter the Dick Pick of the Week. It's funny, I think.
Apparently people do want to see the dick.
Oh, they do, but mostly it's men that want to see it.
Ladies.
Why do you think that would be, Big O?
Because we're so insecure about our size and we want to know if we measure up.
Yep. Where do I fall in this, so to speak, this lineup of penises? And, of course, the guys that are willing to show them, generally speaking, are well over average. And so the rest of humanity feels bad because they're average. Stupid. Don't send your dicks to ladies, gentlemen. They don't want to see them. Penises are fucking ugly anyway. And they're just not interested in being visually stimulated. This is a general statement, I know. But I generally speak because it's generally true, and therefore it can reach the most amount of people. Are there women that are visually stimulated? Of course. And is it cool? Of course. Are there guys that are more internally or emotionally or psychologically stimulated? Yes. But generally speaking, you know how we know this? Because they know who is searching YouPorn. And most of it is not ladies. We know that men are visually stimulated. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's time for us to accept ourselves for being ourselves. It's very healthy. Men and women are different. Like in the jingle. Can you play the jingle again? The one you just played? Is that possible?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Right on. Well, here's what I want to point out. Women and men are so different. We're different in the way we communicate, again, generally speaking. Now, we had an idea for this jingle, the opening little bit that Angel and Hannah have done. And the concept, they understood, but we weren't there when they did it in Atlanta. And basically, we wanted sort of the aggressive...
Sex in the pews.
That's kind of like a marching order like religion. And then we wanted the sexy...
Angelic.
And
Creamy.
Hanny.
Jazzy.
Vocal beautifulness at the end, representing how lovely and smooth and sexy sex is. So let's do it like I wanted to do it. Oh, hold on.
Okay.
All right. Here's how the opening was supposed to go. Sex in the pews. Sex in the pews. Sex in the pews. So I kind of like a cheer, almost like something an army would do. But Hannah took charge, as she has the want of doing. After, for Christ's sake, she's got Dawn and me as parents. And she's a great director, too, by the way. She's not just a great actor and a phenomenal video producer. She's a great director. She's an incredible singer. She's got a little bit of talent, that girl. I used to call her the Great White Hope because she is a white girl. She loves her pale skin. White, blue eyes, blonde hair. Angel is a dark-skinned Puerto Rican dude. They've been together since they were 16 years old.
It's a beautiful thing.
So Hannah took charge. And generally speaking, you'll notice that women, when they make a statement, their voice goes up. It's like they're asking a question. And now some people are really extreme. We talked to somebody the other day in like a pre-show interview, didn't we? That was so that way. Here's an interesting thing that I've noticed is people that are more feminized, obviously including women, their voices will go up. In Canada, it's uncanny. I got a buddy in Manitoba area, or the province of Manitoba, and I mentioned it to him, and he never noticed it before, of course. And then it drives him nuts now. But more masculine men, more conservative, if you will. Canada's a very liberal country, thank God. We love it. Love the conservatives, love everybody. But they're more definitive. They're more definite in their perception and their perspective. So their voices are very... somebody said the other week in one of their shows that they thought I was a little bit too... what was the word? Dominant. Yeah, I like that word, dominant. But regardless... we're not judging. It's just there's a feminine way and there's a masculine way. So when you hear the jingle, because Hannah, who's very feminine, took charge, and you'll hear Angel's voice too. Oh, no, I guess this is not Angel's voice.
He's in the chant, but not.
Yeah.
Singing.
Okay. Well, you've heard Angel already. If you listen to the program, and you will again. Listen to how Hannah, directing her husband Angel, listen to how instead of going sex in the pews, how it goes. Her voice, and therefore Angel's voice goes up. Listen to it.
Sex in the pews. Sex in the pews. Sex in the pews. Sex in the pews.
Sex in the pews.
So I talked to her about it, and she takes direction amazing. And I told her what I was trying for, but I didn't know, and I didn't give her enough direction at the time. These little nuances, and ladies and gentlemen, when you know the differences, first of all, you can appreciate the differences. If you're heterosexual, you better appreciate the differences between the sexes and stop fighting it. Just know it, observe it, enjoy it. Vive la différence. One of the people that I really have a tremendous amount of respect for, and I lost her bio. There it is. Owen's going to depart the Hitting Home Studios momentarily here at Sex in the Pews because I want to do this properly. One of the people that I just know and love and respect so much, who respects people's differences, especially the differences between the sexes, and has come to really be a huge advocate for males, for the men, and I really appreciate her. She is the returning champ. She is Dena Lynn, a resident of Oregon. She's married. She's a mother of 8, a lover of humanity who experiences life through an artistic and shamanic soul. She's spiritually promiscuous, sexually voracious, and relationally monogamous. Her life's purpose is to help each person she encounters to see and be who they truly are. Her website is serendipitiesbydena.com. There you can see her as an artist, a teacher of her art. Again, her website is serendipitiesbydena.com. Now, please officially welcome in the pews, Dena Lynn. Dena.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. That was an excellent conversation. I enjoyed what you guys had to say.
What did you enjoy about it?
Well, the entire topic of the differences between masculine and feminine energy, men and women, I'm very passionate about it. I love the topic.
Why? Why do you love the topic so much?
There's something about finding both the commonality between any two people and also what makes them different. That's like a beautiful, balanced picture, the harmony of it. You know, two people singing the same melody is boring. You bring in someone singing harmony and it just ups the ante. So I'm all about the differences as well as the similarities. You know, some of both.
How familiar were you with the concept that, again, generally speaking, a lot of times women will, when making a statement, their voice will go up.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You were aware of that?
Yes. Part of it has to do, I think, with the women being told that we are more attractive when we're gentle or softer, and that's part of the feminine nature. And there's this sort of questioning, inviting, even seductive nature of the feminine that invokes a response in the man, and then the man comes in with the stronger initiative-taking action. So, like if I answer the phone, I notice my voice goes up. Even if I'm talking normally, I'll go up when I answer hello, and then listening to my husband answer the phone, his voice will drop an octave. He wants to be commanding and give a grounding presence. We sort of embody the epitome of the feminine or the masculine when we're not sure what we're dealing with.
That is a great perspective and understanding. That is Dena Lynn, ladies and gentlemen, right? Coming in hot from downtown.
Boom.
I think part of the reason is women have been subjugated for so long that there is a natural genetic insecurity and uncertainty about when they're talking, whether it be to a friend or a business associate or a lover or whatever. And, of course, men have been awful to women throughout history, and thank God this is starting to change. The pendulum is swinging a little bit too far, I'm afraid. But nonetheless, it's also, it's like they're not sure if they're making a statement, but they're not sure of their statement. The other thing women do in an epidemic way is apologize for everything. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Amy Schumer, who is, you know who Amy Schumer is?
I do.
Okay, good. I always check with Owen. I mean, the man didn't know who Paul Newman was or Robert Redford. I mean, it's just unbelievable. He didn't know who Meryl Streep was, for Christ's sake. I mean, he's 25. Now, I did talk to his brother Lauren the other day, who's 22, and I said, "Do you know who Paul Newman was?" He says, "Of course." I said, "Well, your bro did," and he said, "I'm much more worldly than Owen." So Owen's, that's why we call it Owen's World. He's in his own little thing, and it's amazing.
It is.
There's no judgment. I love no judgment.
Me too.
God, thank God for no judgment.
Thank God.
We evaluate things, we look at things, but just this whole discussion of men's voices going down, or more conservative or masculine, and more feminine or liberal, women's voices going up. It's just an interesting thing. But I do think that it has something to do with the subjugation women have found themselves on. So Amy Schumer does this incredible bit about women saying, "I'm sorry." It's really smart and funny. And I have jammed up my daughter Hannah about it because she used to apologize all the frickin' time. "I'm sorry." I said, "It's not your fault." "Sorry, it's not your fault." "Yeah, but I'm wanting to empathize and sympathize." I do it a different way. A sorry is an apology. Or it's also a board game. You ever play Sario?
I have. It's interesting that you referred to the more feminine side as more liberal and the masculine as conservative, because there seems to be an emphasis for the left and the liberals to care for those and be nurturing and provide for people and take care of those who need it the most. The conservative is the harder, more determined. You get what you earn and you get out what you put in. And you've gotta,
rugged individualism.
Right. Yeah. So I like that. It's interesting correlation.
But it's both. We need both, and
we
they
need
work
both
beautifully
parents.
when they're functioning together, and there's a beautiful intercourse when the two are healthy.
Yes, and when they're moving in the right way and flowing together, whoa, that some really cool shit can happen.
Brings life
and pleasure. And see, you guys, you have to understand that everything in life is connected to sex. Everything, everything's about sex. Now, it's not about just the act of sex, but it is about the ebb and flow of interrelating to each other.
No, the whole universe is doing that. It's inning and outing all the time, contracting and expanding. The universe is sexing.
They're sexting. They've got cell phones up there and Pluto.
Well, not sexting.
Is it safe to sext in universe?
They're sexing.
Sexing.
Yeah.
The universe is sexing.
There's no doubt about it. And the sooner that you as an individual get with the program, and our society does, that sex is a good thing. But religion, which means something, it literally means to put back under bondage in the Latin, to put back under bondage, to religion. Not to put under bondage, to put free people who have already been freed in their spirits, in their souls, if you will, to go back to slavery. That's why sex in the pews. That's why we come so hard against organized religion, organized return to bondage, institutionalized lies about people's purity and righteousness. All people on this planet are not born sinners. They're born righteous. You know what happens, Dena, a lot of times? That people that are told that they're sinners over and over and over again actually believe it and start acting like sinners.
Oh, yeah. But you say bondage like it's always a bad thing. There's a way to use bondage in a way. We can reclaim that word.
That's right. We're reclaiming the word dick. And so let's reclaim the word bondage.
It's like that Hozier song, worshiping in the bedroom. We're religioning in the bedroom.
That's it.
We're
That's right. That's
bringing
where it
back
belongs.
under bondage.
How much of you partook of S&M, etc.?
Handcuffs. That's it.
No spanking?
Not sexually. Not in the act.
Yes, but would you? I'm trying to lead you.
Are you trying? I see where you're going.
Listen to this story, D. Now you feel comfortable sharing.
Oh,
this,
I got my own story.
Wait, we want to hear that. This is a first for the young man who just came to Tampa, and he was out scoping out Ybor City, which is kind of like our French Quarter here in Tampa. Did we go to Ybor City when you visited?
Yes, been there, done that.
All right,
yeah.
right on. Gasparilla was last weekend. That's the huge debauchery Mardi Gras type of deal.
Yes.
Yeah, Owen went. Did you have fun?
There was a lot of gallivanting.
There was a lot of bead throwing, and breast exposing,
pirating, and rum drinking.
All right, so you're in Ybor City, relatively new
I'm in
to the
Ybor
area.
City.
Yeah,
and buckle up, everybody, because this is a story, but it won't be boring. So it's maybe my second or third week in the lovely land of Tampa, Florida, and I'm still becoming familiar with the nightlife scene here in Tampa, and I get an invitation to go to a bar known as The Castle. Now, to paint the picture for you, very Renaissance, very castle-y. There's people that work there dressed in leather, and it's not a gay bar, but it's a fetish bar. I heard it referred to as. So people like this man, who I think he was a man, but he was dressed as this elf thing, and he had so much makeup on that at first I thought he was a woman. But a lot of this kind of alternative, like leather whips and chains type fashion at this place. And one of their main attractions at the castle is the whipping post, as it's referred to.
When you walk up to, do they play the Allman Brothers song? I've been tied to the whipping post. You don't know that song?
Don't know that song.
Wow. This is something, isn't it, D?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't even know who the Almond Brothers are. I've been. Well, we'll play that on a clip sometime. All right. So,
Is it legal to date ourselves now? I think it is, right? Because we're doing that.
I don't give a damn. All right. So my suggestion would have been that they played the Whipping Post song when you were like waiting in line to go to the Whipping Post.
Oh, there was heavy steampunk underground.
Yeah. That's
black.
Sounds about
kind of music.
right on.
So
you go up to the Whipping Post?
I'm at the bar and I'm watching everything that's happening at the Whipping Post. And one of the first girls I saw up there she loved it, and I had never seen anything like this in my life.
What was happening?
Let alone in public. Well, they have this. At first, I thought it was a man. Then I thought it was a woman. Then I thought it was a man again. But then later realized it was a woman working the Whipping Post. And so there's a person on staff there who has a whip and a pad. There's a whole arsenal of weaponry,
right,
if you will, to use on the people that want to volunteer and step up to the Whipping Post. And they'll, sometimes you get this is my first time. I just want to do something crazy and try this out. And then there's the people like this girl that was up on the Whipping Post, and she loved it. Pants down around the ankles, wearing tiny lingerie, butt fully cocked, back arched, butt fully out. Little man woman that was working it, fully cocked back and extended. Waka! Like,
what was it? What did they do?
Full back, full cock. Waka!
Waka!
Unleashed and this girl just screamed and was loving it. And me and this random dude who apparently had also never been there to this place before, judging by the look on his face, we're just drinking our PBR and enjoying and laughing and reveling in the novelty of the situation.
Right.
So girl gets down, she hugs little man woman that was whipping her, and then goes on her merry way. And then up come four affluent sorority girl looking girls, and they had seemed like they had never been there before, and you could just see the let's do it, let's be bad kind of approach.
They probably were saying it like this: let's be bad.
Let's be bad. Let's be bad.
Doesn't this look like fun?
So the four of them step up to the Whipping Post, and one of the four is by far the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. Instantly captivated by her. She's about maybe 5'11", 6 foot, voluptuous in every way, the perfect face,
wait,
curly brown wavy hair.
Wait, stop the presses.
All right.
You're telling me this woman was the most beautiful woman that Theodore Owen Pratt, had ever seen in his life?
I was stricken.
Wow. That's smitten.
Stricken.
Wow.
So I, again, wrapped up in the erotic nature of this whole situation and the novelty of this experience at the bar, I see these four girls getting whipped by little man woman, and the thought just comes into my head: I can't not do something about this. This is if if there was ever a divine intervention to be provided.
That wasn't it, though.
That wasn't.
It never happens. But obviously, you had this was something in your heart.
It was a heart moment where I realized I need to take this swing. I need to take the shot.
Yeah.
I don't get teed up like this ever. This is a once in a decade. Who knows how long kind of opportunity. So I go up there, and at first I step up next to them, and then I stick my butt out and get whipped a couple times, and it was all right. And she's going easy. It's everyone's first time. She's like, "Oh, don't worry," like little playfully. And then I turn to little man woman and I say, "May I?" while extending my hand. And then
you decided to play the little man woman role, is what you're saying.
I did. I stepped up to the little man woman's. To which she responds, "Of course." And then she hands me, which by that point was a little spanky paddle thing, not like the fraternity style one, but it was kind of had a leather tip on it. Mm-hmm. It was about the size of your palm. So she gives me this, takes another one, and then before I know it, little man woman is giving me lessons on how to properly spank people. So
were you a quick study? You tend to be a quick study.
I was just nervous and shaking in my boot. I was overcome with endorphins and adrenaline and other nerves and excitement,
testosterone,
everything that would be running in.
One could say, D, you still with us?
Pardon?
Yeah, no, I was saying Owen's describing all the hormones and the chemicals.
No, I'm listening. I'm caught up in this.
But my point was, one could say the way that the Creator intended us to be, with hormones and testosterone and estrogen and all those things. All right, so this is the moment. You've got the world's most beautiful woman.
I do. So
tushy in your face.
So I'm stepped up
the back of her front
behind this girl, and she's got her hands up hanging from this whipping post, and little man woman has her friend, and she's like, okay, and you can grab the hair like this, and if you cover her eyes like this, and if you start by with a little tap 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 and a waka, to introduce it. And I have to be very expressive with my narration to get the full picture. So I'm doing this, and I've got a fistful of the most beautiful girl's hair that I've ever seen in my hand.
And you don't know her name.
Don't know her name. Hadn't spoken a word to her. And she is loving every second of it. Wow. She's responding so well. The chemistry was unlike anything I've ever experienced before.
You're feeling it right now.
I'm feeling it right now.
He's got an afterglow look about him.
It's a few minutes or hours. Time disappeared and melted away. But of just exploring and learning and using this thing on her, and it was beautiful. So that situation kind of diffuses, and the cloud of endorphins and euphoria and bliss starts to fade away and disseminates, and then we kind of, I basically felt like I was coming down from a trip. It was a high, and we kind of make eye contact and look at each other, and it's like, all right, what's the next move? After that, what do you do?
All right. Well, we're gonna save that for next time. That's called the Good Radio Tease.
Boom.
But that was your first experience, and it was a public experience.
It was,
and it was a supervised experience too.
Supervised, instructive.
D, how much experience? We're talking with Dena Lynn in Oregon. This is Sex in the Pews. That was Owen Pratt with a great story
and great teaser. Great place to cut that off.
Thank you so much. That's why I get the big bucks. D. Mm-hmm. What experiences have you had? And one of the things that I think we need to say how important it is for, especially with people who haven't experienced sadomasochism, bondage, etc., to have it be well supervised or at least well researched and discussed, so that people don't get hurt, because people can get hurt.
Yeah, there needs to be a safe word involved.
At least a safe word.
at least. And yeah, it's not for the faint nor faint of heart. I have had some experience with what would be called dominance and submission. Just like I had explored my spirituality. When I left religion, I wanted to know who I really was spiritually, not just what had been handed to me. And then there came time for me to discover, how am I really sexually, rather than just what had been handed to me? So I did a pretty serious, significant, supervised with someone who mentored me on how to explore who I am sexually. And I had been raised in the environment of feminism. I was born in 1961, so I came of age during feminism, and I was informed a lot by that. I can be anything I want to be, and I took on some rather masculine tendencies, and I do have a rather strong animus, internal masculine part of me. So I had to learn the empowerment of submission and what that meant as a woman, to recognize that when I submit, I am really in a place of control. When I have a safe word, when I'm the one who determines how far we go, there's a moment. I remember my husband looking at me. This was before we were married, and it was a submissive moment on my part. And we made eye contact in a mirror. And he said, wait a minute, who's really in charge here? You're getting exactly what you want. And the lights went off for both of us. It was a mutual submission to his dominant nature and to my submissive nature. And these two energies dance together in a way that until you experience them, it sounds hokey, but it's incredible. Incredible. There's a lot of bliss to be found here.
Yes, amen, sister.
Amen.
When you think about the actual act of sex, it is really silly. I mean, think about it for a second. Here's what we're going to do for pleasure.
Get ready for this picture to be painted.
Ready?
In order for people to have heterosexual sex or gay sex, if you're a man, somebody's getting fucked. The thing in between your legs that is used also for urination is going to have to go from that state to what people will eventually call a boner, because it's like there's a bone in it. And then, in fact, we'll call the act sometime boning, just because of that. And then here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little button at the top area of the vaginal where the woman urinates. And then she's going to be able to get all kinds of pleasure from that, but the boner must go in to that vaginal area where the urination happens, and there's all kinds of pleasure, and people are going to make all these weird freaking sounds like wah,
bound chicka wow.
and they're going to moan, and they're groan, and they're going to swear, and they're going to pull their hair, and they're going to sweat, and it's just
make ugly faces.
Yeah, make ridiculous faces and make sounds that will never, ever, ever be heard in public, except unless they're having sex in public.
It may look like they're getting hurt, but at the same time kind of enjoying it.
Yes.
Or attacked or invaded.
It's amazing.
You take it out, you put it in, you take it out.
Louis C.K. says life is so great because you can fuck. You can put it in and out. In and out. And he goes,
all about.
And he goes, and it's free if you're smart. But of course, we men all know it all costs money. You're going to pay one way or the other, baby. So, God. Yes, I mean, it's a really...
I need to say something. Please. In the name of women's anatomy. You realize women do not urinate out of their vaginas, right?
Yes, but you know what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
It's the same general area.
The approximate PP place comes in contact.
Yes, that is a much. I thank you for holding me accountable and showing me the way.
Give or take a few degrees.
But I mean, it is a weird fucking thing, sex. But it is what we got. It's actually a beautiful thing. It's like, trying to think about life. I mean, think about it. What do? We spend our lives wringing our hands and trying to figure out, how to enjoy ourselves, to make a living, to where should I live, who should I hang with, what should I consume in my body, and then we fucking die.
Avoid pain, seek after pleasure. It's that awkward moment. Life is that awkward moment between birth and death.
Yeah. It's really fascinating and weird. But here's the thing: it's a game.
Yes,
it's the game of life. And when you go on dating sites, and you see people who are looking for dates, and they're looking for significant others, they're looking for a mate perhaps, and they say, I am tired of playing the games. Tired of the games. You see it all the time. Then at that point, beautiful humans, that person absolutely has no clue as what they're doing, because it is a ritual. It is a game. It is a mating game, and there are rules to games. And if you violate the rules, you might get, in hockey, 2 minutes in what they call, nicknamed the sin bin. You get a 2-minute penalty in the penalty box. Now, sometimes you get away with penalties. You do. Sometimes you do it, there's holding in football. There's Super Bowls coming up. There'll be holding in that they'll call some, they'll miss some that they should have called. The huge call that they missed in the New Orleans Los Angeles Rams game. There's bars in New Orleans that won't show the Super Bowl because of that call, or that lack of call. They're going to show the Super Bowl when the Saints won the last time, 10 years ago. But there are games, and Dena, it's so important you said to talk about submitting consciously, and that it actually does put the woman in charge. One woman said it to me one time, and this is a long story, but it's all in my book. And sometime I'll tell the whole story on the radio. But she said to me, and she was very smart. She said, Glenn, she said, at its core, sex is nothing but a struggle for power and control. And a woman told me this, ladies and gentlemen. She said, if the man wins, both win. If the woman wins, both lose. And what happened is, it's a long story, but I had lost my heart on when she had gotten on top. It was the first time we were together, and I had really played it well. It was like I got her to bed the first date. I mean, that's always a nice thing if that's what you want to do. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I wanted to do it. And she really was responding to my dominance, if you will. She liked it. She loved it. But she put me to the test, and I knew this. Most people are just playing the game. They don't know what's going on.
Right.
They don't have a strategy. I knew she knew what she was doing because I knew what I was doing. And so I'm just, really going to town on her. And all of a sudden she flips me over, gets on top, and starts riding me. And relatively quickly I lost my heart on her. And I didn't know what to do. And so we finish. That's never pleasant for guys unless they know what to do. Now I know what to do because of this moment. So I said, her name was Susan. I said, Susan, I said, this isn't the first time this has happened to you, is it? I guess I'm telling the story now. This isn't the first time this has happened to you, is it? And she goes, no, it happens all the time. Think about that, Dena. She goes, it happens all the time because she puts guys to the test like this, and she knows what she's doing. I said, why is that? And she said, Glenn, at its core, sex is nothing but a struggle for power and control. And she said, if the man wins, both win. If the woman wins, both lose. She said, you lost tonight, and I lost tonight. And I said to her, I said, Sue, what should I have done? She said, after I took control and you got soft, you should have just retaken charge. I tested you. Yep. We call it a shit test, right? She put me through a shit test. She said, you should have just flipped me over, retaken charge. Here's the key, fellas. Gone down on me and taken care of my needs. She said, you would have come back. As God is my witness, I started feeling myself getting aroused, just as she was saying. Mm-hmm. And she felt it in the atmosphere. Let me tell you something, you guys. When men and women play their roles effectively, both win. But the one that wins the most, thank God, after thousands, tens of thousands, millions of years, however long this globe has been spinning, finally women can win. And finally women can take their rightful place as the receiver of the love, not the target of men's insecurity and self-loathing and hatred. Jesus Christ, you guys, get a clue. Find where your woman's clitoris is. Embrace her quirkiness and her nuance and her femininity. You're straight, for God's sakes. How can you be revived if you're not gay and you like a woman and you're a man? How can you revile a woman from being a woman? Good preaching, Roberts.
Oh, there's so much I could say to all of this.
Well, go. We got it's a beautiful thing about being on a long form podcast and not having to break for commercials. Just go. Dena Lynn, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me say a few things here. The thing that I discovered, being in a world where success equals acting like a man, even for women, to be in the business world, a woman has to do masculine-oriented things. I have to do a lot of it with my business. I have to market. I have to engage with people. I have to take initiative action. I have to make things happen. All of that is a masculine-driven thing, and I can't do it.
Because we're hunters-gatherers.
Yes.
Again, general statement. See, you guys, all you need to know is our sex organs. We're out there. Women are in there. Dena's a heterosexual woman. She wants to be in there and receive, but because of the modern society and where things have come, you have got to be penetrating your culture and your community there, and it doesn't feel right.
Well, I can do it to a degree. I mean, all of us have a bit of masculine, a bit of feminine. Think of the yin yang symbol. We have a bit of the alternate, and it depends on where you are on the spectrum as well. There's a spectrum from alpha masculine to ultra feminine, and I discovered that I am ultra feminine, which means I have a balancing inner animus that is also strong. So I can do that stuff, but I love the ability to surrender, to submit, to give over to a man who knows what to do with me, who knows how to take control, so that I just get to respond. It's like falling back into a pool of water and allowing myself to just float and to let my body respond to what's being done. But what I've discovered, there's not a lot of men who know what to do with a woman who is strong, who also wants to be able, I mean, it takes a strong woman to know how, when, and to whom to submit. There's an incredible amount of courage and inner strength that needs to happen for that. So for me, learning how to submit was like stepping into a body that fit me perfectly. It was like, oh, this is who I really am. This is me at my core nature. Now, men and women, what I've discovered is that different things turn us on. So for a woman, nothing turns me on more than being the object of desire. To look at a man and see him look at me with eyes lit up, that he's barely restraining himself, that he wants me now. That excites me when I get to be the object of desire. And what I've discovered with a lot of men, what turns them on the most is to know that the woman can take the full force of his sexuality, and then he doesn't have to fear being seen as a predator. When his full force is welcomed, like, give me all you got, and he can give me that, and I can take it, and I can go past the point of my perimeter where I think, oh, I might use the safe word then. How about no? What's on the other side of that? What's on the other side of where I think it's as far as I can go? I want to find out what that is. So when these two energies come together, the woman who says, give me all you got, and he's saying, let me take all I can. Those two dancing together, that's some good shit right there. That's incredible.
That is.
I'm fully aroused, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that why you're ducking underneath the console right now? That's awesome. Dena Lynn is in Oregon. She is an artist. She's married. She is a mother of 8, and
apparently she can take it.
Yes. Now, Dena, with permission, I would like to share a little bit about our experience. Is that all right?
Go for it.
Okay. So Dena and I met years ago, and I was in between relationships, and I was on Facebook, as is my wont from time to time. You beautiful humans may have noticed that. And so was Dena. But Dena and I didn't know each other. We were friends on Facebook. We had connected.
Well, I knew you from the years when I was exploring hell. You were this radio guy.
Right.
You and Mike were the couple of the people who helped me discover what the hell is hell.
Right. And that was a long time ago. It was like 20 years ago or more.
More like 12 for me, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I started 20. All right. That's great. In any case, so Dena and I were friends. We have friends that we don't know. Obviously, most people do who have a few friends on Facebook. I mean, I've got like almost 4,000 people. I don't know them.
Self-plug.
I don't know most of them. I know a lot of them.
Exactly.
And so I'm just sitting with my laptop innocently on my lap, watching a ball game. I know this will be a very big surprise to you, Owen. It wasn't hockey.
Innocently on your lap?
It was, yes. It was
like a first.
It was innocent. And all of a sudden I get one of the Facebook instant message, bloop, and it's from a woman named Dena. And this is what it says. It says, Glenn, I cannot take these toxic people any longer. And I said, and I'd never spoken to this woman, Dena Lynn, ever. And I said, I responded, I said, Dena, I said, is everything all right? I have no idea what you're speaking of.
Oh.
And she said, OMG, oh my God, she hit the wrong Glenn. She was wanting to talk to somebody else.
I had another Glenn with 2 N friends. Yes.
It happens. That's why you're so quick on the draw on the Facebook, D.
Oh, God.
So we ended up speaking for 3 hours that first night. Mm-hmm. And then what occurred over the next many months was really an amazing long-distance, torrid affair.
Dude, it was just weeks. We met. We're pretty quick in. It was like 6 weeks of it. I was fresh out of a heartbreak. You were fresh out of a heartbreak. We're talking, like, what, a week or 2 out? So we commiserated with each other, and then we got into this romance. And you go ahead. You keep telling the story. I'll let you.
All right.
dominate.
It wasn't 8 weeks. It was 6 weeks. That's awesome. So it was fantastic. I mean, we fell in frickin' love, long distance, video, phone, a lot of messaging, texting, Facebooking. It was awesome. We started a Facebook page called Facebook Love, where we wanted people to tell their story about how they met online, whether it be on Facebook or other ways.
Very cool.
And it was a great idea. And then Dena came to Tampa from Oregon, which we referenced earlier. I asked her if she had been to Ybor City when she was here. And we found out, first of all, that when it's different when you're 2,000, 2,500 miles away or whatever it is from Tampa to Oregon, than when you get in front of somebody. Because we had this, obviously, expectations, and I mean, we knew each other, but we didn't know each other.
Right.
That's number one. So the concept of Dena was going to come for about 3 weeks, and then I was going to go back to Oregon, and we were going to travel down the Pacific Highway to visit my son Jacob in San Diego. I was going to meet her kids, and this was it, right, D? This was for.
Oh yeah. We went all in.
This was it in so many ways. And so when Dena got here, I mean, it was great. I mean, it was amazing intimacy and just incredible. And yet there was kind of a separation between Dena and me that I wasn't aware of. She was. And so within, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days of you here, you're like, this ain't working out. If it's okay. And I was like, and I had it. I felt the energy, and so we finished. I don't know, another couple days, and off you went to Oregon. But we've always remained friends. True.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is that our intimacy was truly about friendship, and it was a strong friendship. It was a strong bond, and our culture doesn't allow for anything other than like casual friend or intimate romantic partnership. It doesn't recognize the possibility of intimate platonic friendship that can be charged with sexual energy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there was compatibility.
Right. There's
partnership we thought.
Exactly, and that's why you got to get around somebody first. But here's the thing, I mean, I was, as I always do in these situations, I try to learn from them. And one of the complaints that Dena had at the time, and she articulated because we have really great communication, is that she thought that I took too much charge in bed, which I do. I mean, I'm a dick.
I'd say you're a little dominating.
I'm dominant,
as per one of the comments about your conversational style
right.
as well.
And the vast majority of women respond to it amazingly. They're looking to have that strength. Generally speaking, ladies and gentlemen, just general. This is a general topic or general thing, and it's generally true. So about a year and a half later, Dena and I are talking about this. And she said she just basically was coming into what she just articulated so beautifully about finally being able to submit to herself. See, it's not about submitting to the guy, ladies. It's about submitting to you. Yes. So it was a beautiful revelation, and and it was so awesome for Dena to share that truth with me, because I suck at most things. I really do. But I'm good in bed. I mean, I'm solid, and let's give myself like an 8 or 9. And I mean, I've never had a complaint one time, except for this, that I was too not domineering, but too dominant.
I had not gone through my own inner studying of who I was sexually.
Right.
That came a year after I met you,
right.
And that's why I wanted you to know, because I remembered what you had said to me. That stuck. And then later when I got to embody it, when I got to experience it, it was like, oh, that's what he's talking about. And it made perfect sense.
And what was the process? Because obviously right now, there may be millions of people that will eventually hear this right now. Who knows how many there's thousands of people around the world listening to this right now.
Right.
There's women that are exactly where you're at. They're like, I love sex. I love the intimacy. I love my man. I love men in general. But when a strong guy comes at me, it's just like, it's icky for them. How did you go? Now, I'm not talking about abusive, you guys. God forbid. or
No.
rapey or anything like that. Not even close to that. It's true intimacy. It's true masculine and feminine coming together. What was your process, Dena? How did you do that?
I had assistance. I had someone who worked with me, and it was a very intentional process to go through. I don't think everyone necessarily has to have that kind of mentorship in order to do it. I believe it can be done differently. I offer sexuality coaching as well. I've done that with some people. But I think the key component is to let go of the need to be in control. If you're taught that you can only be safe if you're in control, for instance, the whole erotic spanking thing. I had been spanked as a child, and it was borderline abusive. My parents did the best they could, but they were taught to discipline a child corporally. And for me, it was humiliating. It was terrifying. So I thought, if I were ever to be spanked in an erotic situation, I'm going to have a PTSD flashback. Eroticism is going to go out the window. I don't want that. But when I first experienced it, much like what you're describing, I wasn't in a public forum, but when I experienced it intentionally, when I surrendered to the experience, I discovered that pain and pleasure share a threshold, or a spectrum, and that threshold between the two is fluid.
Isn't that amazing?
It's wonderful. And excitement and fear share a threshold too. So to get to the other side of what you think is your limitation, your perimeter. I remember, I think it was Mike Williams years ago through you talked about perimeters are there for us to run through, to push down, to find out what's on the other side of them. So sexually, for me, if I think, wait, I don't think I can take anymore. That's too much pain, too much fear, whatever it is. There's something in me that rises up that says, wait, I want to know what's on the other side of that. And so far, every time there's bliss. So I've used my safe word with my husband in the 5 years we've been together. I used it once in the very beginning, and only because I had a UTI and there was blood involved. And I used it reluctantly thinking, I better honor my bladder. But
that'd be a good new slogan for the new money. Honor thy bladder. It's always a good idea.
Yeah.
Drink your cranberry juice,
what's your safe word, D?
Oh, I can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
It's an ironic safe word. It means more, please.
Oh, that's perfect.
Is it not?
I've got a great safe word story, and then we want to hear more specifically about your bondage situation that you've experienced. But
really, Gar.
So I am new at the radio station in Racine, Wisconsin. And the owner's new, but he's been there for about a year. I come in the beginning of the second year, and I'm the new guy on the block, and I'm me. I'm, big, loud, bombastic, and
Yes.
and he knew that. He told me, this guy, his name was Dave Magnum. He told me that I had the biggest personality he's ever seen in 30 years in radio, and he said, come in slow. Like Dena came in hot to this show. It was awesome. But I so wanted it to work out. So I came in really gingerly, as opposed to the way that we started this show, when I was all barrels blasting at the beginning to just get people's attention. And it worked. It definitely worked. But I was really careful and just chill. And in fact, my program director, Lou Turner, told me about 9 months in, he was like, "Dude, when you first got here, you were walking on eggshells." And I said, "Lou, you have no idea what a compliment that is to me." And because usually I'm like the classic bull in a china shop. So I didn't want to do that. And my boss was smart enough to say, don't do that. Ease into it. So what happened was I was there a month, and he had caught word that he owns 30 radio stations throughout Wisconsin. He's the largest private owner of radio in the state of Wisconsin. And this was a relatively new station. It was the only station, or the first station they had in a major market. Most of these were very small market radio stations, very different. And he had people that had been at that radio station, which started in 1926, for years, some for 30, 40 years. And so he had caught wind of the fact that some people were backbiting and were criticizing the management, et cetera. So he held a special meeting. And usually I'm like the first guy to ask a question or to participate, but with my strategy of laying back, I didn't say anything. And he basically, it was an awful meeting. It was just bitter and just threatening. And basically at the end, he made a good point. He said, how can you be criticizing a radio station for providing a living for you? You're doing work, but I mean, you want to do something else in your life? And so, but at the end, he basically charged the rest of the staff with checking on people who were criticizing. Like, you better stop your coworkers from criticizing. Because initially he had a zero tolerance policy about this. And I run a lot of organizations.
About no criticism?
No criticism. Zero. And so, and a criticism was grounds for firing.
Wow. So
I raised my hand and I said, Dave, let's be realistic. Is that okay? Seeking first to understand in order to be understood. I asked the question, is that all right if we're realistic? He said, yeah. Glenn, go ahead. I said, somebody's going to criticize something. It's human nature. I said, but what if we check ourselves or each other as part of the team and try to nip it in the bud so it doesn't spiral into something worse? He was like, all right. And I said, I swear to God, this is true, D. I said, like in some relationships, is how I said it, that people have safe words. and everybody looked at me like, and this guy was a conservative Republican dude,
Wow.
And he knew, and everybody was like, yeah. And I said, what if, instead of like saying, hey, don't be negative, come on, what Dave said, what if we just had a word that just stopped the whole thing? This is for freaking genius, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's a safe word because like bad things are about to happen, so we need a safe word, right? So Dave Magnum goes, that's a great idea. What should the word be? And the early morning guy, Mike Clemens, looks down and there's a box of Dunkin' Donuts sitting on the coffee table, and he goes, how about donut? And it was like, that's it, donut, because it's like do not. And like donuts are in the shape of a lifesaver,
Yep.
And so I cannot tell you in the next year and a half how many donuts I heard at the radio station, but I heard a lot of donut. See, beautiful humans, you can use, see, I'm telling you, everything's about sex. You can use safe words where you just stop an argument. Have a safe word to stop a frickin' argument. This is Glenn Klein, Owen Pratt. Sex in the Pews is where we are with Dena Lynn from Oregon. And you have something you wanted to say?
We're just having some organized fun with the purpose here.
Yes, indeed.
That's it.
That's what we do. Organized fun.
By the donut safe word story.
Exactly. It's just fun with a purpose. So, D, you were starting to get into the fact that you wanted to redeem the word bondage, and you've had some experience. We heard Owen's experience. I've had a little bit, not like Owen had, and I have a feeling not like what I'm about to hear from you.
Well, the whole thing about, the erotic spanking was the first part for me that helped me realize if I can take something that previously was traumatizing, because I had no say as a child being spanked. I was trapped, I was cornered, there was no way out. But when I take that thing and I take the empowerment of it and say, I choose to experience this, it's an entirely different energy. And for me, it's like a healing from what happened before that was traumatizing. So that was one part of it. Cool. And when it comes to bondage, any kind of restraint, anything that gives people permission to let go, to give over, rape fantasies for women. No woman that I know of in her right mind truly wants to be raped. Rape is violent. But the idea of being overpowered by someone so that you can enjoy something because you've given the choice to have no choice, you've submitted to the no choice idea, there's something about that ups the pleasure that we wouldn't otherwise have.
Right. I mean, nobody naturally would want, or I say naturally, everyday life, wants to be tied up to bind their movement. But in bed, it's amazing. You referenced it before, Dena, how close, there's such a fine line between pain and pleasure.
Yes,
and there's certain pain that I enjoy during a sexual encounter that if I was doing it or somebody was doing it to me before I was sexually aroused, there is no way in the world I would be able to take it. But at the right moment, it so heightens the climax and the erogenous nature of what's going on. What would you say to somebody, or how would you explain to people who are like, you know what, this is blowing my mind right now, this talk. And I'm comfortable just in kind of a vanilla sex, but there's something that they're saying that sparks something in my soul. How would you encourage a man or woman, Dena, to proceed from here?
Well, the first thing to recognize in my mind is that what is forbidden is always charged with the erotic. So the things we wouldn't normally allow ourselves to experience, we can experience in a sexual realm. First of all, when you're aroused, your endorphins are high and you can handle more sensation. Your nerve endings are more receptive. You're not on guard. So something that could happen to me in a sexual setting, like you're saying, if someone just walked up to me on the street and did something with the same kind of intensity, would be unwelcome. So we've already said yes to the experience. Consent is huge. So whether we're talking about vanilla sex or a sex of a more vigorous nature, consent is absolutely imperative. And there's different ways of being able to give that. But communication is hugely important. And of course, having a safe word, which simply means the person who's receiving, whatever they're receiving, they have the right to say, that's enough. Because part of the fun of pushing boundaries is to be able to say the word no in that setting, to have some resistance, which can heighten the intensity. So the word no does not make a good safe word.
No, it doesn't. And I need to remind the beautiful human males in our audience that if you're going to err on the side of caution with these things.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I don't advise, generally speaking, this. Get ready for a controversial statement, ladies and gentlemen. Controversial statement coming in 3,
Ready?
2,
Brace yourself.
1. I don't recommend to my clients to take the first no for an answer.
He told you it was coming.
Yeah, and because it's not reality, it's not life.
It's not
and
sales.
It's not sales. It's not part of the game.
Overcome that objection.
Yes. Overcome the objection. And I say 3 no's.
Is the price the problem?
3 no's and you're out. 3 strikes and you're out. But having said that, and don't take me out of context, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say you go 3 no's. During the middle parts of the second and third no, there's no physical contact. There's no aggressiveness other than a verbal discussion. We just had this huge controversy over the song "Baby It's Cold Outside."
Right.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Really can't say.
Because, think about it, one of the greatest songs ever, because the guy is attempting, and apparently successful, at seducing this woman. If we get rid of seduction, well, we'll never get rid of seduction. It's not even an issue. But in 2019, because of Me Too, and because it's just the right thing to do, if a woman says no after 2 or 3 attempts, then you say, all right, no worries. And
well, that's why a safe word is so useful, because a safe word is a no, an absolute no.
Right, but you can't. But you can't.
Part of the game. It's part of the seduction dance.
Right, exactly. But you can't have a safe word when you're first having that
first
moment.
Date.
The first and the first date. Guys are going like, the first date? A book a week?
Book a week?
The first date?
Jesus Christ, Lillian.
No, yeah, the first date. It's a big. He gets to know these women pretty quick, and there's nothing not to love about Owen Pratt. That's for sure. But if no is no, then it's no. And there's no physical contact, there's no aggressive moves, there's no grabbing, there's no touching. But having said all of that, say this: err on the side of caution.
Sure.
And once you have crossed that line in a relationship, whether it is an exclusive relationship or what I prefer to call a committed relationship that's not exclusive, yes, absolutely have a safe word. Owen.
So I'm noticing, even as you're speaking, that there's part of me is feeling cautious, got a heightened sense of awareness for what might come as a consequence of what we're saying and talking about, and because there is a potential threat. Now, this heightened sense of awareness is also a form of arousal.
Yes.
My senses are heightened. Even an experience I had recently, I was camping in the woods and had a little liaison, and just being out in the wilderness where there's creatures and unknown animals scurrying around in the near proximity, and you can't see, and it's dark, and there's a very heightened sense of awareness, and that sensual acuity translates to a physical experience and can incredibly heighten and just awaken unexplored
the
parts
risk
of
factor
sexuality.
is up. I mean, the idea of being caught, being seen in public, or someone, coming upon you if you're out hiking and you have sex, right there off the side of the whatever.
Right.
Somebody could come around the corner and see you. That's exciting. That's erotic.
I got a friend that loves getting caught. He's come a long way, and he's been. I don't want to say too much, but he used to just habitually cheat and felt terrible about it in a weird way, but at the same time he was and he's got kind of a little bit of an addictive personality, but would just love the rush of trying not to get caught. But then at the same time there was this weird little part that of our close friends recognized in him where he loved getting caught.
What do you think's going on with that guy, Dena?
Oh, he's got some shame conflict, obviously. And I mean, when we connect shame with sex, whether it's someone who's secretly masturbating, and unfortunately what happens then is if it's a man, he's going to learn to ejaculate too quickly, which isn't going to work in his favor later on.
Hello.
But anytime there's the shame part of it, it's then we need the shame. Whenever we eroticize, we need to have that in order to get off again. So whether it's something you get addicted to, habituated to in porn, and I'm not writing off porn per se. Porn was part of my training. It was part of what I needed to break down some barriers within myself. But like anything can be too much. Anything can be harmful. It can be helpful or harmful. The only difference between a toxin and a medicine is dosage.
Yes.
So if someone gets habituated to a certain type of porn, then the average female is not going to do it for him. He's going to have to fantasize about the image, and not just the guy. Women have to end up doing it too. So it's these things that can help us can also hinder us if we rely on them instead of the human in front.
Oh, preach it, sister. Let me tell you something. We have a tanning saloon in our family, Sunbar Tanning Saloon. I used to do the old webcast in the office of the Sunbar.
I remember.
Yes, you were there. You were on microphone at the bar.
I was.
And the tanning industry has come under tremendous criticism because they say that people get skin cancer from the sun, and that's not true. People get skin cancer from getting burned in the sun, and from other
too high of a dose,
and having too much other factors. The fact of the matter is that people that are south of the Mason-Dixon line in the Sun Belt here in the United States of America, that's the first one of the show, have much less cancers and skin cancers than people in the north. They have much less depression down here. They have less arthritis and diabetes, which is amazing when you think about how obese people are in certain places in the south, but because we're getting more sun naturally, which is the source of vitamin D.
There you go.
The problem is too much sun causes your skin to burn, and it's the burning or the abuse of your epidermis that causes skin cancer. The reason that the rise in skin cancer happened wasn't because the ozone layer was dissipating. It was because we went from a society, and I'm telling the story for a reason, beautiful humans. We went from a society that honored and valued as white and pale as you could possibly be, because back in the day, if you had either dark skin, you were a black or a Hispanic, well, you wouldn't want to be that, or you were a field worker. So the whiter your skin, the more affluent you were considered. If you see people with pictures of people in the early 1900s and the 1920s, they were dressed head to toe, even down here in Florida, in black, to block out as much sun as possible. When they first started the silent movies, they took literally a pasty-faced white, the actors, to make them look as white as possible. But then something happened.
What's that?
You might have heard of it, Owen. I hope you've heard of it. It was called World War II.
Oh, yeah.
And in World War II, there were men and some women They were out in the fields of Africa and the South Pacific and Europe, some of them for 4 frickin' years. And the ones that survived and they came back, guess what they were?
Dark.
They were tan. Our heroes were tan. And just after 9/11, when everybody wanted to get the NYPD hats and the New York firefighter hats, and they had the t-shirt, we'll never forget, everybody instantly wanted to be like our heroes, the tan ones. And they started torching their skin. They had these reflectors. They put baby oil, butter on their skin.
Oh, yes.
Did you ever see the episode, D, in the Seinfeld when Kramer puts butter all over his skin?
Yes.
Yeah,
I did it. I put butter on my skin in Texas with iodine in it to try to get darker.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah, not a good idea, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
So here's what people do. They overreact, just like they've overreacted in some ways in the Me Too movement. When you can't say anything or compliment a woman, or you have to take the first no for no, when you're just being a gentleman, you're trying to be a dick, you're trying to be firm and hard and potent and to bring life and pleasure, it's gone too far. A man should never put his hand on a woman that's not asked for, including in a bar when you're just walking through to go to the restroom or something. You got to be cautious of that. It's time for that shit to stop. But the pendulum swung too far towards, okay, we're going to go pasty face white, and then we're going to burn the fuck out of our skin. That's where the cancers came from. My dad's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed dude. Cancer on his forehead, all this shit. But it's responsible tanning places. It's smart tan management. I tell people all the time, the source of life on the planet's the sun. We can't live without vitamin D. But the people are so freaked out about vitamin D that they're lopping sunblock on their little babies, and they're finding that infants are having a disease that they never had because they're not being exposed to the sun at all. But I tell people this. Water's pretty important to drink.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know what happens when you have too much water at once?
Someone died once from
Poisonous.
too much water.
You drown.
Yeah.
When your body ingests too much water at once, you're dead. Now, would anybody in their right mind say, because you might drown if you get too much water, you should never drink water? That would be insane. But to say because people overexposed to sun when they burn the crap out of their skin could get skin cancer, that therefore we shouldn't go into tanning beds, we shouldn't go out in the sun, that's fucked up. And D, because there are people that are addicted to all kinds of destructive relationships that lead to sexuality and sex sometimes, that we should not enjoy that part of life that's so important, the intimacy, the eroticism, the orgasm. That's how insane it is to say if you shouldn't drink water because if you take too much in, you might drown. That's how crazy it is.
Oh, it is. Yeah. We need to find whatever is a balance for us. And sometimes it does take swinging to those extremes personally to find your balance. But you got to know you're doing it and recognize that you're on that pendulum swing.
A great man
don't camp there.
A great man once said, "Do follow your heart and do things deliberately, on purpose,
with a purpose."
Yes, on purpose, with a purpose. That's how we open.
Intentionality is hot.
Right. And here's the thing, beautiful humans. If you're not comfortable with this, don't do it. But if there's something in you that is sparked by these kind of conversations to push the envelope, to reignite your sexual life, maybe to have an orgasm, ladies, for the first time ever, Dena is on Facebook. Her website is serendipitiesbydena.com. She'll talk to you. She said it during the course of the broadcast here that she does sex counseling sometimes.
Yep. Coaching, not counseling.
Sex. Thank you very much. Sex coaching. I do it primarily
Put
for
me
men.
in, coach.
Did you hear what he said, Dena?
Well, I missed it.
Put me in, coach.
Yes.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready. Do you know that song?
No.
Oh, my God. John Fogerty.
I know who that is.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. Put me in, coach. No?
Nope.
At Camp Menominee.
Sometimes we all need a little bit of help to get out of whatever kind of rut we're in. We've been conditioned in our childhood, in religion, by our culture, in ways that may have served us at one point of our development, but they backfired. And we have the liberty and the freedom to choose how we want to live our own lives as adults in ways that are meaningful, purposeful, and consensual.
It's so powerful, man. That is so powerful. We all have coaches. Some are sex coaches. Some are life coaches. Some are parents. Some are best friends. Some are spouses. Everybody's got a coach. They might be awful coaches, but everybody's got somebody they go to for advice. Go to people who've actually thought about these things deeply and who are trained in it and whose purpose in it is to get people to the next level in this game of life.
One of the great pieces of advice I was giving that really changed the way I approached life was to qualify the advice you were getting from people based upon the results that they had shown in their own life.
Yes.
So a lot of the guidance that people get in two of the most influential areas and important areas of our lives, relationships, relationship advice and financial advice come from just close friends and family who we grew up with. Our coworkers is who we get most of our advice from in those areas. But people never seem to stop to ask or think about how successful the people that are so opinionated are and that are giving them advice in those areas. And that piece of advice really, really changed how I saw, I'd been taking relationship advice from my mother, who I love her. She's an amazing woman, is the reason that I'm the man I am today, that I'm incredibly thankful for. But I just didn't want the relationship that she had. And once I made that connection, I stopped taking relationship advice from her, and it completely changed how I operated.
I really
are they walking their talk,
Exactly.
I really hear that. I do. But for people that, like myself and Dena, and I mean, Dena, you and I could name quickly 10, 12 people that do this, do it for a living or an avocation, or serious about it. Coaches are not players. The best players are not usually the best coaches. It's very rare for a man or woman who is a great, like a superstar athlete, to be a good coach, because they can't relate to the struggles that somebody has, and the players that had to try to figure it out to stay at whatever level they were playing at. They typically become the best coaches. For example, the great Joe Madden, who's the manager of the Chicago Cubs, and then just turned around the Tampa Bay Rays when you were down here going to a wonderful baseball game, Dean. I know you enjoyed it so very much.
I remember it well. I still have the shirt.
Nice. Do you ever wear it?
Oh, yeah.
Joe Madden is one of the great managers of all time. Won a World Series with the Cubs, first time in 108 years. Took the Rays from the worst team in baseball to the World Series in 2008. I was there. He never made the major leagues. You know what he was? He was a catcher. And you know what a catcher does? Now get your minds out of the gutter, ladies and gentlemen. He's the one player on the field that sees everything.
Yeah.
And he's got to know the pitchers, and he's got to know where the players are, and he's got to know what the base runners are doing. There's a lot of catchers that have become great managers in baseball, and there's a lot of guys and gals that have struggled in life that are great coaches, like myself.
Well, the question is, have you learned? Learning the hard way, learning by experience, that's the only way to learn anything, is through experience. You got to hit your butt. You got to fall down to learn how to walk. You got to fall down on your face to learn how to get back up again. And it's not about, did you go down? It's, did you get back up? And did you keep going? And did you learn from what made you fall?
And not only...
Because we fall.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying we all fall. That's how we learn.
The only failure in life, ladies and gentlemen, is when you fail to get up. That's it. I mean, fall down a gazillion times, just get up a gazillion and one, and you won't have failed. In the opening of my book, the book for men, a 21st Century Guide to Masculinity, I list an amazing amount of the most successful, accomplished people in the history of the planet on their opinion of failure. And to a person, people like Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and on and on and on and on, all Martin Luther King Jr., they so appreciate their failures because it set up their successes. The only way to learn, as Dena said, is from failure, either your failure or somebody else's. You can learn from other people's failure too. And that's one of the things that I'm so blessed to have knocked my head on a wall so many times, that the people, my kids, my clients, our audience gets to benefit from my knucklehead decisions that I learned from.
And just to connect our points, your example of maybe not the best players still making out to be amazing coaches, the coaches still, the fruit on their tree, their evidence of success may be the success of their mentees, their players, their performers.
That's exactly.
So
right.
being able to see that is what I would recommend.
That's a great bit of advice. This is Sex in the Pews, ladies and gentlemen. Go to sexinthepews.com and participate in any way you choose fit. You can leave comments. You can suggest topics. If you want to be a guest on the show, join the Dick Pic of the Week contest. There's all kinds of ways to participate in the Sex in the Pews community.
And hit that subscribe button. Follow us on iTunes. You'll get our new episode sent straight to the app every time we post one. YouTube, we're also on. This is streaming on. Hit the subscribe. It really helps us out. And you can get these delivered straight to you.
Amen, brother and sister.
G-Spot newsletter as well.
One of the things that Dena is working, or that Owen is working on right now, D, is a video of the highlights of some of the clips from your first appearance. He's been making copious, so that's coming out probably in the next week or so, and he's making copious notes for. This was unbelievable. What came out of your pie hole today?
It's our longest one yet.
That's what she said. But yeah, we go till we're done, and that's a good thing. Sometimes a quickie's good. Sometimes
That's
you just
right.
gotta hang in there
Get
and
in
just
there. Enjoy the
right.
moment.
enjoy, a longer session. But Big O, what shit did we learn today?
Well, we learned some shit, Glenn. You want to hear what I learned?
Yes.
I learned that Dena considers herself as being an ultra feminine spirit. If I got that right, Dena.
Yeah.
Boom.
You did. Excellent.
Dena, what shit did you learn today?
Well, I learned that you guys think that penises are ugly, and I have to protest. I think penis can be gorgeous. I have a thing for the cock. I confess. I do.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, these are general statements. Generally speaking, women do not want to see a dick pic unless you go to sexinthepews.com.
Oh, I don't want a dick pic. I like the real thing.
Yes, but you really like it best when it disappears inside you, don't you?
Well, that's one of my favorite things that it does. Yeah, but it's there are those of us who are visually stimulated.
Yes,
so
amen.
I just want to say,
Yes.
I'm going to put a plug in for the penis. Okay, they're not all ugly. I protest that thought.
But you want to put a plug in for a butt plug? That's the question.
We have to save that for next time.
For the next
And
show.
we invite all protests here in the pews. Feel free. We want the controversial, the people who disagree with us. We invite you to be a part of this. We really want this open debate.
Big O, what shit did I learn today?
You learned two shit today.
Uh-huh.
You learned.
Yes, that happened a while ago. Thank
You,
you.
you learned that both pain and pleasure and excitement and fear share a threshold. Also, you learned that you were the wrong Glenn.
Maybe I was the right Glenn.
Oh God, that's funny.
Here's some other shit that I learned today, that when Owen was at the castle, the sound that he made when he spanked the most beautiful girl in the world was
Waka!
That
Bitches.
stay with me too. That reverberated.
Dena, we cannot thank you enough. We will talk to you soon. This will be undoubtedly another Owen Pratt production of the greatest highlights of Dena Lynn from Oregon. Thank you so much. There she goes, Dena Lynn. Dude, you can see why I was attracted to her.
It was, whew.
She's easy on the eyes too, by the way. You just go to Facebook, Dena Lynn. Go to my Facebook, Glenn Klein.
Or serendipities.com.
Serendipities
by Dena.com.
By Dena. Thank you. Serendipities by Dena.com. Buy some of her artwork. Bless a girl.
Bless yourself. Bless your eyes.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you, sir, for doing the excellent job and for telling the castle story and just for continuing to grow in this role as a podcast host.
I'm sure everyone wants to know what happened after the whipping post.
And been tied to the whip. Whipping post was what they used to put people to be tortured on. Slaves got put on the fucking whipping post. Think about that.
At the castle.
That's something. Yes, yes. They've totally taken something that was torturous and have made it a point of pleasure. That's called improvement.
What is forbidden is erotic. Another thing I picked out of our conversation today.
Well, this was a great time. Just know that you are loved. We love you. That you are perfect and righteous, and you cannot be separated from yourself. You are one with the Creator, with us. It's just a whole big, wonderful Sex in the Pews family.
It is.
You have fun?
I did.
We will do it again next time, promise. And until that time, this is Glenn Klein.
And Owen Pratt.
Saying, Shalom, everybody.
Bitches.
There it is.